If you were to name the best pet in the world, the ball python would easily earn its place on that list. Not just for its calm temperament and simple care requirements, but for the stunning variety of visual patterns affectionately known as morphs. Among the countless combinations out there, one stands out as an icon, not just in ball pythons, but in animal patterning as a whole. The recessive morph, PIEBALD. A true cornerstone of modern morph design and a go-to for breeders everywhere. Today we're diving into the world of PIEBALDs, covering their appearance, genetic background, and some standout designer combos you'll definitely want to see. So, let's kick things off with what makes PIEBALDs visually unique. When it comes to visual impact, few morphs are as instantly recognizable as PIEBALD. Starting from the head, PIEBALDs often resemble a typical normal, usually black or dark brown, with symmetrical stripes just behind the nostrils. That signature Y-shaped pattern at the top of the neck is common, though some PIEBALDs break the mold entirely with mostly white heads or faint smudges. But let's be honest, the body is where the PIEBALD truly earns its fame. Sharp contrast between bold, chaotic patterning and bright white patches makes this morph one of the most iconic in the reptile world. Instead of the usual alien heads you'd see on a normal, you'll find blotches, stripes, or nothing at all. The distribution of pattern is entirely random, from high white animals with nearly all white bodies to low white individuals covered head to tail in pattern. Down below, the belly is typically a clean, glossy white, free from markings, though occasionally a few smudges or dark spots might show up. As for the tail, it follows the same unpredictable rule. It might be solid white or full of pattern, though most of the design tends to stay towards the front half of the snake. And just when you think you've seen it all, the head-pied individuals throw in the occasional surprise, from rainers, those strange misplaced patches of colors, to rare paradox spots that defy the usual rules of scale coloration. PIEBALDs continue to prove why they're both a genetic mystery and a breeder's favorite. You might be thinking, well, what a powerful morph. And you'd be right, but maybe it's too powerful. See, a common misconception among newer keepers is that PIEBALD simply takes an existing design and erases parts of it, turning those areas white. But that's only half the story. PIEBALD isn't just a color-removing gene, it's also a pattern disruptor. The areas that do retain patterns, they often get smudged, warped, or melt into something far less structured. So, if you're working with a combo that relies on intricate or detailed patterning, adding PIEBALD might erase the very thing that made the morph interesting in the first place. And that brings us to our next part, some standout combos that actually works with PIEBALD, not against it. But before we dive in, I want to make something clear. Aesthetics are subjective. I'm not here to tell you what's beautiful and what's not. That's entirely up to you. Instead, I'll be focusing on combos that are either well-balanced, meaning every gene in the mix has a visual role, or surprising, meaning the result was unexpected in the best way. To me, those are the combos that stands out. Alright, here's how we'll break it down. I'll start by introducing the base morph, then add each gene one at a time, building up to the final multi-gene combo I want to highlight. Designer choice number 1. Let's start with something extremely mainstream. Clown. Clown is known for its iconic dorsal stripe, bold head stamp, and warm orange tones. But what happens when we combine it with pied? Will those signature traits survive? This clown pied features bold white pied sections contrasted by rich orange gold patterning, outlined with dark, melted clown borders. The dorsal striping remains chaotic, and the head displays the classic clown stamp. But make no mistake, pied disrupts clown's base pattern. If the pied expression were more dominant, it could easily overpower the clown influence, diminishing the visible pattern. While this particular example strikes a nice balance, the combo will always carry that risk. Now let's go one step further and add another recessive gene, hypo. Well, hypo is a gene that reduces all pigmentation. Let's see how it will react with those genes. This hypoclown pied features soft, saturated orange patterning with minimal black outlining, a result of the hypo gene's pigment reduction. The clown influence shows in a distorted dorsal striping, while the pied creates expensive high white sections, leaving bold yet ghostly patches of color across an otherwise clean canvas. It seems like although the pattern of clown has been further reduced, the orange tone has been exaggerated. Speaking of orange, there's another gene that can really push that color in your clown/pied combos. It might be a bit unorthodox, but it's definitely one of my personal favorites: pinstripe. Pinstripe has an overpowering, intricate pattern. When added to any other combo, it can dramatically alter the existing look. Let's take a look at what happens when pinstripe meets hypo, clown, and pied. This combo showcases a warm, desaturated orange with minimal black, thanks to hypo. Pinstripe contributes fine broken linear markings, while clown adds subtle dorsal distortion and intensifies the orange tones. You can still see clown's influence in the pattern layout and color, but some may argue pinstripe dominates a bit too much here. If you're after orange but want to tone down the pinstripe intensity, I've got another suggestion: ultramel. Ultramel is a melanin-reducing gene, which naturally brings out rich orange tones. Take this leopard ultramel hypo clown pied as an example. Pattern from clown is preserved, the pied is showing, the color is fully expressed by hypo and ultramel. I know I featured this one in our ultramel episode before, but come on, it's too epic not to show it again. Now, let's look at another popular designer direction. Since pied creates bold white patches, what complements white better than deep, rich black? There are a few ways to create a black ball python, but one of the most sought after is through super mahogany, also known as suma. Another approach is using superforms from the cinnamon allelic complex, like super cinnamon or super black pastel. However, these have a history of producing deformities, which has led many breeders to move away from those projects. That said, some breeders have reported producing clean, healthy super cinnamons and super black pastels, suggesting the deformity issue might not be strictly tied to the genes themselves. If that's the case, we could see a shift back towards those combos in the future. But for now, when it comes to reliable, high-contrast black snakes, suma remains the gold standard. So, let's add suma to pied. This suma pied features deep, velvety black patterning contrasted by crisp, unpigmented white pied sections. The super mahogany or suma influence creates a dense, patternless black with minimal warm undertones, while pied isolates and breaks up the darkness, producing a high-contrast minimalist design with bold visual impact. Personally, I really like those subtle hints of yellow peeking through the darkness. They add character. But if you are aiming for an even more intense black and white contrast, there are several genes you can explore to push the suma pied even darker. Genes like black pastel, cinnamon, and blackhead are known to enhance dark tones. In theory, any gene that significantly deepens a snake's overall coloration could contribute to a darker suma pied. So while I haven't seen all the combos firsthand, genes like Stranger, Confusion, even GHI could also work. There was a GHI suma pied produced before, but it showed paradoxing, so it's hard to say definitely how much of that was gene-driven versus random expression. So far, we've explored 2 strong designer directions with pied, but there are many more out there, and I absolutely encourage you to explore them on your own. That said, it wouldn't be fair to only highlight the positives. As mentioned earlier, PIEBALD can heavily distort pattern, which makes it difficult to pair with morphs known for intricate or detailed markings. Those patterns often get washed out. Here are a few combos that, in my opinion, fall into that category. That's not to say they're bad or unattractive, just that they don't quite strike the balance I personally look for. Let's start with Monsoon. Known for its extremely busy and detailed patterning, Monsoon is one of the most visually intense and expensive morphs out there. But when paired with PIEBALD, much of that complexity is lost. Given the price of Monsoon, I personally wouldn't recommend using it in this direction. Next up is Sunset, famous for its rich rustic coloration and broken jigsaw-like pattern. But again, when paired with PIEBALD, the pattern gets washed away, leaving a two-tone animal. Not ugly by any means, but it feels like Sunset's full potential isn't quite realized here. The same goes for other pattern-dominant genes like Puzzle, Leopard, and Confusion. You can still spot traces of these morphs in PIEBALD combos, but they're all significantly toned down, visually debuffed, to say the least. When it comes to PIEBALD, one of the most important and often overlooked aspects is how different genes affect the amount of white. Some genes are known to expand the white pattern. The spider complex and the blue-eye leucistic complex genes, like your Mojave, Lesser, Special, etc., are notorious for producing high white PIEBALDs. Cinnamon and black pastel can also increase white expression, though not as consistently. On the flip side, Enchi is famous for reducing the white, sometimes eliminating it entirely. Gene X has a similar effect, though typically to a milder degree. So, if you're trying to fine-tune how much white shows up in your PIEBALD project, these are the genetic tools worth considering. Well, there you go, a quick overview over PIEBALD. How would you yourself use PIEBALD? Let me know in the comment section down below. For our Chinese-speaking friends, if you're looking for additional content tailored for you, do consider joining our Patreon. We've got exclusive content and some special surprises waiting for you there. It's always a pleasure sharing my passion and knowledge with all of you. This is Edward, signing off. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, nature never ceases to amaze.